season and preseason polls, all preseason, all teams, all that. How much stock do you put in any of that?
How much stock should I put into that?
I would say close to zero.
Well, that's it. You know.
So the follow-up then, though, is a media poll tells you one thing, the coaches vote on a preseason team. What does that tell you about your perception around this?
I don't know what it says. I don't really. I honestly, it's not coach speak. I just never have been caught up with that. If we were peppered with all kinds of Oklahoma guys, man, I would be so hard on those guys. You know, because you haven't earned, nobody's earned anything yet. And this is a game of performance, not a game of, you know, projection. And so it's always been that way. You know. Does that answer your question?
Does indeed.
Brent, I know you said earlier that you don't talk about the past. Last season doesn't come up, so I'm guessing.
Last season doesn't come up?
In terms of you know, you don't face any new day. I mean, obviously you look at efficiency and things like that, but you know, it's in the past. I'm sure it's the same thing with the SEC in a year from now. But is there part of you that says, hey, we've got to have momentum, we've got to win this year because of going through that?
I don't. No, not because of nothing.
Yeah.
Because that's the expectation, you know. Because that's the work that we put in, and that's part of the development process, is improving and getting better. You know, we'll see how fast that happens. You know, I can promise you, it never happens as fast as you want it to happen. But it has nothing to do with because where we're going. Again, in Oklahoma, our program is all about us. You know, we stand on our own 2 feet as a program, and we're focused on how we can, you know, be at our best, how we can improve and get better in the areas we got to improve and get better. And that's what it's all about, building it the right way. And regardless of what conference we're in, you know, we got a lot of work to do.
When you say there's 90 plus players that are first or second year players, that means there's 90 plus that have not won a Big 12 championship.
Mm-hmm.
How do you explain that tradition, that championship mentality when you have that many that have not won a Big 12 title and say, this is Oklahoma football, this is the expectation when they haven't accomplished that?
Well, look, you know, Oklahoma's not entitled to win. Let me just say that. Oklahoma's not entitled to win. You know, they don't have this monopoly on winning. You know, this is what it takes to be successful. Okay? It's not, well, Oklahoma. You know, this is the expectation. This is what it takes to be successful. This is the game plan. This is what's required. These are the ingredients. And, you know, so again, that's the challenge of coaching, you know, bringing out the best in people, developing them, putting them in a position to be successful, inspiring and challenging and motivating, correcting, teaching, development. This is a developmental game. And so we got to develop quickly. And so there's a great challenge in all of that, you know, and again, especially that in 97 of the 123, this is their first or second year, you know, at Oklahoma.
And then a lot of younger guys that are extremely talented just haven't gotten a lot of experience. It'll be interesting to see walking into camp, but I got a lot of confidence.
Again, like I said, as a football coach, you know, every opportunity I've had has come through this conference, you know, both as a player at Kansas State and the great coaches that I had there, Coach Snyder, Bob Stoops, Jim Leavitt, so many others, the great leadership in this conference, all the different, you know, commissioners from the Big Eight, and then, again, my memories, my development, my improvement over the course of, you know, 20 years have come through, you know, this conference. And so, again, I'm emotionally attached to all of it. I'm a passionate, connected, you know, teacher. And so between the players and the coaches, you know, this is my root system. So, again, I love change. I love evolution. You know, nothing ever stays the same. And where college football is going, this was inevitable. That there's going to be some kind of a big merger. This isn't the last of what's going on right now. So ultimately, somebody wants to crown a single champion, you know, and there's money, and all kinds of stuff that's involved that has perpetuated this. But I'm not here to judge that. But and again, I'm not going to be emotional about this last year in the conference. I'm far removed from something like that. My focus is on our locker room and our football program and what we got to do to get to a championship level from a competitiveness and an improvement standpoint.
I'm not shocked about this. Things are changing as we speak, so just super cool to see it all.
And I know that's kind of a team-wide thing.
Come back and
it seemed like you kind of talked about things you
I guess come full circle.
year one as a head coach team. Maybe speak to that a little bit more, some of the specifics about being more efficient that you learned at the end of this.
Yeah, well, obviously, you're constantly teaching and getting your players to be better situational football. So efficiency where we're complementing each other, not compensating for each other, and being more efficient in all the particular, football areas. So if that's defense and you're talking about run defense, or that's defense, you're talking about 3rd and 4th down defense, or red zone defense, a 2-minute defense, the fundamentals of the game, all of it leads to efficiency, and the same thing on the other side of the ball in the same exact categories. And being efficient, how can we become a better football team in the 4th quarter? And so what lended to us not being, and it's not any one single factor, but I think the improvement from a competitive depth standpoint leads to competitive stamina, and again, and being right in those areas that we talked about, improvement in all the football side of it, the fundamentals that it takes to play at a better level. Again, just being another year in the system, naturally you're going to be further ahead than where you were a year ago at this time in our systems and strength and conditioning and our culture and our establishment there. Like I said, our players are more efficient at doing player run practices right now than they were a year ago because they don't know what they didn't know a year ago. Danny Stutzman couldn't articulate, defensively what he's able to do now. Their ability to communicate as a defense is much different than where they were a year ago. I can't play the game. They're the ones that got to play the game. So if you don't say it, you can't play it. And so what things they're able to say and do now on their own is learning how to walk before you run and crawl before you walk. So it's everything. But yeah, just I've got plenty of player councils. I'm always listening. My job is to do what's best for the players always. Every decision I make, it's what's best for the players, and sometimes what's best for the players don't like. But I'm always listening. I think the best leaders have an ability to listen at the right times, and again, you got to regurgitate the information how you see fit, and not every new idea is the right idea either, and it needs to still align with the values and what I know it takes to be successful. And but our team, the way we were built last year, to me, is going to be built different where we're at this year, and so. My expectation is we're going to play more guys. We're going to have more guys that are capable of playing winning football. That's part of being stronger and better and having better stamina in the 4th quarter. So I can think better, I can react faster, I can be more explosive, I can be stronger at the point of attack. We can hold them to field goals, not give up touchdowns, can play better run, all those things. And so it's a really broad a word when you talk about efficiency, but it means a lot to us. And we've worked hard at the strain, the focus, and the finish in everything that we do programmatically all off season. And so I think we're better equipped as a football team, today than we were a year ago at doing exactly that. And sometimes you got to go through it so that you can figure out, where the target is, and that's an important part of it.
And he's funny. He's a character, but it's cool to see, his switch when he gets on the field.
Yeah, so
Well respected by the team.
I'm thinking DJ Terry and Philip Paya and Connor Neer. The thing about Connor Neer, he's a 4-year starter. He's an All-American. He's a captain. He's a national champion. My fear at linebacker is we only have one linebacker that's ever started a college football game in Danny Stutzman, and really wanted to bring the right person, the right individual, the right player that fit our culture, our playing style, that brought experience. I wasn't going to just bring in an experienced guy. I wanted a guy that could line up and play winning football for us. And, so Connor's a guy that's going to bring instincts, toughness, physicality. He's going to be able to lead a defense. He's going to be able to communicate. He's going to be able to perform under pressure. And he knows right from wrong. He understands standards. He understands a locker room. He understands leadership. He understands tough coaching. And he's won at the highest level. And so I'm excited to bring in a guy like Connor, and he'll help expedite the growth of other players. Competition brings out the best in everybody. And we needed more competition, more guys that are capable of playing at a really high level. And he's been wonderful, his commitment, his work, and so high expectations. DJ Terry, again, he brings, size and power up the middle of the defense that you got to have. Got great natural strength. I love his humility. He's been an incredible, humble, hardworking guy. He's fit right in because he's low maintenance. He's a hard worker. He's been doing two-a-days on his own since he got here. He has a sense of urgency about creating value for himself and opportunity for himself. And, he's got experience at playing the game. And he's a heavy-handed guy that, again, I just like his attitude, his toughness, and his humility. He has no, expectation other than he's going to show up every day and earn whatever it is he's given. Philip Pye is another big, strong body guy that tore his ACL early in the year. I think his best football's still in front of him, but he's a big, strong, powerful body guy that hopefully will get him in the right kind of shape where he can contribute, overcoming a knee injury from a season ago. And another guy that, can play the game, particularly in the run game, that we just felt like we needed to, bring additional players inside that can create competition, that can create competitive depth, and that can bring something from a humility, a respect, a work ethic standpoint that would help make us better. And so we've been able to do that. But hopefully a guy like him and a guy like DJ will bring out the best in guys like Grayson Halton and Ashton Sanders and Marcus Strong and Isaiah Coe and Jordan Kelly. Guys that, have been here and been playing.
Being able to be off the field and have that connection on the field is trust, respect, that everyone.
I think it's what living's all about. I think for all of us as human beings, paying things forward. It's not how big you can make your platform; it's how impactful you can make your platform. And so to see young people like Dylan have a genuine appreciation for his success and the people that have helped him along the way, and finding people that maybe won't have the kind of platform that he does, or maybe not the same opportunity to give back, is what it's all about to me. That's living a life of impact, of influence, and significance. A lot of times I think it's confused. A lot of young people, it's about how much I can acquire, how much I can get, and he's a great example of a doer and a giver, not a talker and a taker.
I wanted to ask you about one of your former colleagues that Kevin Wilson got hired at TU. I want to ask you what you remember about coaching against him. What was it like trying to combat him in practice, and what's your perception of him?
Yeah, great football coach, great friend, great man, husband, father, a lot of fun, tough guy. He gets more out of less. One of the best play callers, might be the best play caller I've been around. Incredibly instinctual, understands the other side of the ball, does a great job of anticipating what's coming, and just, love him like a brother.
What was it like trying to combat him in practice?
That's good, You always go back and forth, It's, I think when you can make things personal sometimes, it brings out the best in you. And so, I like winning practice. I think when you win practice, that gives you an opportunity to feel pretty confident you can win in the game. And but I think the players feed off of that competitive nature, and Kevin's a very competitive guy. Yeah, from all of them. Yeah. No, I wouldn't. But it's just affirmation of all the same stuff, Kirk. That what I heard at staff meetings and through lots of conversation with them as human beings. And it's really just, stay faithful to what it takes, stay faithful in your belief system, stay faithful to development, be patient, yet, be demanding. Don't compromise your values and your standards, and don't lose your way. When a lot of people in the middle of a storm, they can lose their way quickly. Stay strong, keep striking.
What have you seen of Jackson Arnold here 6 months into the win?
Yeah, just incredibly competitive, great work ethic, tremendous humility, willingness to follow and learn from others. No entitlement whatsoever. A tough guy, really smart. Football is easy for him, and he plays the game with great anticipation, great awareness, highly skilled in throwing the ball and running it as well. But just a great teammate overall. He's brought tremendous value, to our locker room. Yeah, really excited about Peyton. Obviously, we feel strong. He's going to help us immediately. Again, the game's easy for him. The good one's it is. He finds the ball. He gets concepts. The moment never gets too big for him. He takes a challenge well. Incredibly coachable. Comes from a great system, and so he brings a lot of that with him. So he understands the game. He can take one language and translate it to another language that means the same thing. It's not too much for him. Doesn't get paralyzed in that. Tough, physical, great range, ball skills. Again, tremendous anticipation. But he can play a lot of spots. Yeah, he's working at safety and lots of spots. How many do we need? He's just a football player, and we got to find a role for him and give him what he can handle, and so he can be a great player. And again, I think the good thing about where we're at right now is we have more competitive depth everywhere. We're in a much different position right now than where we were a year ago. Peyton is one of those new guys, one of those 63 players that we brought in that have made us better and have brought the best out in the guys around him. They're already better. A guy like a Justin Harrington, a guy like a Deshaun McCullough, when you're sharing those reps, or again, Justin's working at safety in Cheetah, and Peyton's working all over the place, and Deshaun's working at a couple of different spots. But when they get those reps, man, they got a game rep mentality. And that's what competitive depth will do for you. And when you have a game rep mentality, you have a different focus, you have a different intensity, you have a different passion, you got different detail, you got different precision. You're making those reps count, and everybody gets better as a result.
Number 7, Cannon, really flashed out the rest of the game early
Yeah.
season. Didn't get very many reps on defense.
Yeah.
As a freshman coming in, different in your system to get those reps.
Yeah, it's not our system. He's, guy hardly ever played defense. He was a high school quarterback. They'd put him in there and they'd bring him off the edge. And that was it. So he had to learn how to get in a stance. We've had him at Cheetah last year, and we're just trying to spread guys out. And some guys can't play Cheetah. So instead of backing everybody up at one position, let's spread him out. He's a guy that's a 10-4 100-meter guy. Let's put the fast guy out there in space, and let's see how they can help us. We had no depth a year ago, none, zero, and so you learn from it all. Probably should have played some of our younger guys more, even if they were making quote unquote mistakes. At least it gives those other guys a chance to play maybe a little better in the fourth quarter when they had to go back in. But that's some of the give and take that you go through when you're building a roster and starting over in many ways. But he's in a different spot along with a lot of those other young guys, Kip Lewis, Kobe McKenzie, along with all the new guys, the Samuel Macio, Taylor Heim, Lewis Carter, Phil Paciotti. We didn't have any of those guys a year ago. Now those guys are, competing for some playing time. We didn't have Shane Witter, last year, a guy that is going into his senior year. And then we certainly didn't have Deshaun McCullough and, again, Connor Neer, along with a new and improved version of all the guys that are returning, starting with Danny Stutzman And again, you know, what Kobe McKenzie can do now is different than what he was. He missed all the fall camp last year with a groin tear. And, you know, when you miss those reps as a young player, it's hard, you know, unless a complete disaster happens. We had a defensive end playing middle linebacker, and he's the second leading tackler, I believe, in the conference. Did a great job for us, but, you know, that's what, you know, we had to make the best out of our situation, you know, a year ago. So much different spot. I think just talking about linebackers, that's indicative and reflective of virtually every other position. But linebacker, we've got one linebacker, Danny Stutzman, that other than the two portal additions, you know, we didn't have anybody that had, you know, started a college game. Woody Washington's the only corner that started a college game, you know, on our roster right now. And so we're going to have to count on some young guys, you know, to step in and help us, you know, right now. But we have more, again, competitive depth up front with both the returning players and some of the freshmen that we signed. And then, of course, you know, we have 6 additions through the portal up front in our front 7. I mean, yeah, I think it goes without that. Not everybody's the same, but I think there is, you know, potential for guys that understand what culture is, what family is, what connection is, what relationships are. And again, my job is to recruit the best players I can, but I also want a value system that's shared. You know, guys that are about the right stuff. You know, my job is to surround myself with not yes men in any way, shape, or form, but also. But I do have a responsibility, so we're not trying to get a square peg through a round circle. That, you know, we bring in staff and players that believe in the things that we believe in: hard work, earning your opportunity, consistency, perseverance, toughness, physicality, details. You know, the name on the back of their jersey as well as the name on the front of their jersey. I think it's important that, you know, the value systems align, and regardless of what they come from. But you know, I think there's a polyculture that we're all familiar with. That there's a lot of attractiveness to the same values that they have, to the things that we believe in, no question. Yeah. Maybe. I mean, in college, I had, you know, at Kansas State, we had, you know, a Polynesian flavor of both teammates and players that we recruited.
What is it about Jonah that maybe he's grown? I think he's put on some weight, but also just as a leader and his opportunity to come.
Yeah, I think Jonah, like, is an example of what a lot of our guys up front, how they've transitioned. You look at Grayson Halton, that was 250, you know, a year ago, that's 293 now. Or, you know, Jonah, he's just south of 300 pounds. And, you know, a year ago, you know, he's at 265, 267. And we moved him inside where he can play faster. The game's actually easier in there, even though it's tough and physical and things happen faster inside as opposed to outside. But again, there's been a transformation. You know, him going to that group, I think, has made that group better. Again, through competition, through leadership, through his value system, through his toughness. He's a great teammate. And so lots of ways he's helped make that inside position better, more accountable.
Coach, it looks like Texas quarterback is playing the Cotton Bowl in the future. What does that mean at the Cotton Bowl mean to the university fans?
Yeah, it's a great venue, you know, a great stage, a lot of history and tradition, a lot of pageantry that goes on with playing, you know, in that historic, you know, place. And so a lot of, again, pageantry as much as anything else, and an opportunity for their fans and our fans to come and experience, you know, all of it, the fair, the game itself. You know, it's going to be fun. Yep.
Justin Blackman was a guy you coached against several times against him from the state. What was his legacy on, you know, there for him? Yeah, I think
Justin Blackman? Why are you asking me about him? Oh, good. No, just big, strong, athletic, tremendous catch radius, ultra competitive, just tough, you know, was always open. And just, you had the game plan around him. And it's a very short list, believe it or not, that you really feel like you got a game plan around one guy. And he was a guy that commanded that type of attention and respect.
We ask you a lot about the defense defense, and you obviously tailor a lot of your answers to the defense and where you guys can be.
Well, I've been talking about the offense. I've been saying that it's third down, it's fourth down, it's red zone, it's not turning the ball over. In the red, we had 3 of our 4 losses. We turned the ball over either on turnovers in scoring position or on downs. And in 1-score games, you can't do that. Or we scored touchdowns that we had to take off the board because of penalties in 3 of the 4 games. Take off touchdowns off the scoreboard in because of penalties. So being more efficient, the improvement individually, every position on offense, the efficiency from everybody. But our 2-minute situation, how we can improve our 4-minute offense, what that looks like, complementing each other. There's efficiency, on both sides of the ball in that regard.
You mentioned the complementing each other. I mean, obviously the offense goes fast, and sometimes there's 3 and outs where it might be less than a minute, and that maybe hurts the defense. How do you balance that as a head coach and saying, hey, let's slow down here, we got a lead, or those sorts of things? And do you feel like at times last year maybe they were going a little too fast, or maybe they were going?
Well, I think that there are times last year that we didn't do a great job of complementing each other. So hopefully we've worked through that in the auto season, and that'll be something that we've got a great handle on, throughout the course of the year. Again, Gavin Freeman's a guy that I love everything that he's about. He's a football player, just makes plays. He's always wide open, and he's going to help this football team. He might have had as good a spring as anybody on offense this spring. Andrew Anthony is a guy that transfer portal. He's got length and he's got speed. Nick Anderson's a guy that we're really counting on. He's got size, length, great catch radius. Was just snake bit last year from an injury standpoint, but he's really looked great in the off season. Jaden Gibson's a big old long target that's improved strength and knowledge and confidence in developing his skill set. Really looking forward to Jay Gibb being able to help us. Got some other guys trying to get healthy, but LV Bunkley's become a great leader for us, at wide receiver and a really consistent player. Brennan Thompson's a guy that's got, world-class speed, and so I'm anxious to get a chance to see him on the practice field and, what we can do, with him in our offense, a guy that, I know that a lot of people around college football thought a lot of coming out of Spearman High School, and so he brings a tremendous skill set, and all of his best football still in front of him. I'm really excited about Jaquez Petaway, and we really, to me there's nothing that he can't do. I think he can play inside, he can play outside. A tremendous explosive athlete that also has tremendous football instincts and football awareness that's going to help transition him quickly. And but man, he's an over deliverer. He's a guy that just loves to practice, loves to compete, loves to play, and he'll help us. Is my expectation, this year. Yeah, I mean, we're playing him at linebacker, right now, and he's looked good. I recruited him for a year while I was at Clemson, and feel strongly about where he's at. And to me, wherever he is this year, a year from now, he's going to be in even a more enhanced role. The worst thing we can do right now is putting too much on a guy's plate. Give them what they can handle, and then play ball from there. And sometimes it has to do with what other guys can and can't do around him. If I think that we're a little better at rushing the passer right now than maybe what we were a year ago. I feel confident that we are. And so, how can we best utilize all of them together? What's the best combination of all of them? But he had a great offseason a year ago, while he was a true freshman. Some people say, he's coming from Indiana. He must not be any good. Well, then you obviously haven't done your research. You have no idea, that what his recruitment was all about. Could have gone anywhere in the country, had offers from everybody, was committed to Ohio State. His dad got hired as the running back coach at Indiana. from the Chiefs, and so he committed there. He was going to play with his dad. His brother was going to be a grad transfer as well, and then his dad got a job at Notre Dame, and things have changed, and so he put himself in the portal. But yeah, that just tells me somebody, with a mic, in front of them doesn't know really, what they're talking about. But Deshaun's got a tremendous skill set. He's got great length, instincts, toughness. A year ago, he was at Indiana. He had a shoulder surgery, so he missed a lot of the development that happens for true freshmen. He's a long, skinny safety out of high school that needed time in the weight room, and he didn't get that a year ago, and he was able to get that since January, and he's made tremendous improvement in the weight room, and his size and his strength and his power. And I love where he's at. Got a great mindset, on the catapult system. Man, he's always one of the top guys from a game rep. Output and his speed and his explosiveness. He's wide open. He strains. He values what it means to strain, and he's shown competitive toughness and again humility too. I love his humility. He's a great teammate so far. He's willing to learn from other people. He's made us better, at linebacker.
Brent, just a couple of injury things. Is Javonte doing well after his foot? And Jacob Sexton, how's he doing?
Yeah, so both of them are doing some running and some cutting and all that kind of stuff. So no setbacks. We're hoping that they'll, return to full speed here soon.
How important is the next month or so going to be for your offensive line as far as getting healthy and filling in those starters that you guys lost?
Yeah, I mean, it's been important since January, to be honest with you. The next month is important. We keep everybody healthy. I think, again, other than Jacob Sexton, everybody else is right where they need to be. Walter Rouse has been full go since the end of spring, and I'm trying to think if there's, you got your normal bumps and bruises, but I'm really excited about. There's only two starters coming back in McCade and Andrew Rame, and two great ones there, great leaders, tremendous football players for us, and. But man, this opportunity's created. Losing a couple of guys early to the draft, and Wanye and our other tackle, Anton Harrison, have given these guys a great opportunity. In Tyler Guyton and Caden Green, Jake Taylor, and certainly Walter Rouse to compete at tackle and. I feel really, really good. Troy Everett has been another one, along with, again, I mentioned Caden Green and Joshua Bates and Nate Anderson. Really good, strong group of guys, along with Caleb Schaefer, another transfer. And then, and again, where we're at right now, I feel really, really good, going into fall camp here in a few weeks.
You mentioned earlier that you guys have played great defense in a while, and when you took over Clemson, it was kind of a similar situation. You took a big leap from year one to year two at Clemson on defense. What do you remember about those first 2 years and how you were able to go from where you were at Clemson year one to where you were?
Well, I think having a really big-time explosive offense is something that we were fortunate to have at Clemson. They had just won the ACC. Taj Boyd, Sammy Watkins, and Andre Ellington, and Nuke Hopkins, and Martavius Bryant, and a whole bunch of other dudes was on that other side, baptizing our defensive backs at the time, but helped the transformation too. Expedite the transformation, but it's like anything. The better the people that you're lining up against every day in practice, the better you get, and so that was a big part of it. But they had just given up 70 in the Orange Bowl, and had a lot of work to do. But they had actually played, top 15, top 20 defense, and the couple of years prior to that. So maybe not in this exact position. And then I had a bunch of young guys that had played. Lost some veterans prior to me getting there, but a lot more young guys that actually had played. They had recruited really well. You had Stephon Anthony and Tony Stewart, the number 1 and number 2 linebackers, and coming out of high school, as well as a guy like a Travis Blanks, who was an All-American, safety out of Tallahassee, and a few other guys like that would become amazing players. But I think they had recruited maybe a little stronger defensively than maybe what we had, and from a depth standpoint. And but it's all a challenge, you know, and fitting guys that, developing the players that we have, and recruiting to, a system is all important, and a lot of times it's people. You're trying to find the right people that are committed to excellence, the toughness, the work ethic. We had to learn, a way to strain the right way, how to practice the right way, a mindset in a walkthrough. That it didn't show up here, and that was where it needed to be. It wasn't. Actually, it was the opposite of where it needed to be. And we don't get that right, none of that other stuff on game day is going to take place. So, there's been a lot of things that maybe don't show up in a stat sheet that we had to, fix, correct, get better, get guys going to class, get guys living right off the field. All of that matters. You're not a bum off the field and all of a sudden an amazing player on the field. And so everything that we're doing over the last 17 months matters, and there's a transformation to all of it. And in some spots, some positions, it's more prevalent, but developing a mindset, creating accountability, creating discipline, being detailed, as a staff being in unison, developing all of those things foundationally that are absolutely critical for us to have a program that has sustainability, longevity, and I'm talking about chasing standards of excellence in on both sides of the ball, all three phases of the game, and we weren't where we needed to be, and we still have a long way to go, but we're moving in the right direction. I believe that clearly.
All right, we gotta go. I'm sorry.
All right, y'all have a good day.